The broken fleet. The wounded ship shuddered as another blast tore through its shields. Captain Ilara Vos steadied herself against the command console, her four-fingered hands gripping the edge until the pale blue skin stretched tight across her knuckles. Around her, the bridge of the Novanian refugee vessel Twilight Ember was bathed in the pulsing red of emergency lights. "Status report," Ilara demanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. Her first officer, Tarek, looked up from his station. The bioluminescent patterns along his temples glowed an anxious yellow. Main drive functioning at 37%. Life support stable. Shields. He hesitated. Shields at 12% and failing. Behind them, 3 more Novanian ships limped through the void, all that remained of their once peaceful civilization. Each vessel carried thousands of refugees, the last of their kind. The Galactic Confederation had declared their species obsolete, their territory ripe for reclamation. The Novanians' only crime had been refusing to surrender their ancestral worlds for resource extraction. "The Confederation cruiser is gaining," warned Sora, the young tactical officer. Her voice cracked with exhaustion. None of them had slept in days. "They're bringing weapons to bear." Ilara closed her inner eyelids briefly, centering herself. "How much further to the boundary?" 20 minutes at current speed, Tarek replied. 20 minutes. 20 minutes until they reached the Forbidden Zone. The ancient boundary marking the edge of human territory. No Confederation ship had crossed that line in 3 centuries. No one dared. Humans were legends now, whispered about in the darkest corners of space stations and mining colonies. Some said they had destroyed themselves in civil war. Others believed they had evolved beyond physical form. But the most persistent stories claimed they had simply withdrawn, disgusted by the corruption and cruelty of the growing Confederation. All that remained were the warnings. Do not enter human space. The automated defenses destroy all intruders. No exceptions. "Captain," Sora said softly, "we have to decide now. The refugee ships can't take another hit." Ilara knew what her tactical officer was really asking. Should they risk the certain death of crossing into human territory, or face the certain death of Confederation capture? "Tell me about the humans again," said Ilara. "The old stories." Tarek looked surprised but answered. "The archives say they were contradictions, violent but compassionate, capable of great destruction and great mercy. They fought the Confederation's predecessors when they tried to enslave weaker species. And they won," Ilara finished. "They were the only species to ever defeat the Confederation in open war." The ship rocked again as a distant shot grazed their failing shields. Warning klaxons blared through the command deck. "We're out of options," Ilara said, straightening her spine. "All ships prepare to cross the boundary. Full emergency broadcast on all frequencies. If humans still exist, if they're listening." She paused, struggling to find the right words. "Tell them we seek sanctuary. Tell them we have children aboard. Tell them. Tell them we beg for mercy," Tarek finished quietly. Ilara nodded, her throat tight. "Yes, we beg for mercy." The 4 remaining ships of the Novanian fleet adjusted course, heading directly for the boundary of human space. Behind them, the Confederation cruiser accelerated, determined to capture or destroy them before they could reach the Forbidden Zone. "They're launching fighters," Sora reported, her voice rising with fear. "Divert all remaining power to engines," ordered Ilara. "We must reach the boundary." The ship's engines whined in protest as the engineer pushed them beyond safe limits. Around them, the stars seemed to blur as they accelerated toward their last hope or their final doom. 10 minutes to the boundary. The Confederation fighters were gaining. "Captain," Tarek called, his voice uncharacteristically urgent. "I'm detecting something ahead." Ilara leaned forward. "The defense network." "No," Tarek replied, bewildered. It's a signal, directed at us." "Let me hear it," Ilara commanded. For a moment, there was only static. Then, a voice. Not mechanical or automated, but organic. A living voice speaking the universal trade language with an accent none of them had ever heard before. Novanian vessels, this is Sentinel Station Epsilon. We have detected pursuit craft on your tail. State your intentions immediately. The bridge fell silent. Ilara exchanged shocked glances with her officers. Humans, real humans, still here, still watching. With trembling hands, Ilara activated the communication system. This is Captain Ilara Vos of the Novanian refugee fleet. We seek sanctuary. The Confederation seeks our extinction. We have children aboard. We beg for mercy. Silence stretched for what seemed like eternity. The Confederation fighters were 5 minutes behind them now. Their weapons would be in range soon. Finally, the voice returned. Captain Vos, maintain your current heading. Transmit ship profiles and passenger manifests. Transmitting now, Ilara replied, nodding to Tarek who sent the data stream. Please, we have wounded. Our shields are failing. Another pause. The Confederation fighters were closing fast. Captain, Sora said urgently, they're locking weapons. Ilara closed her eyes. Had they come this far only to die at the threshold? The human voice returned, sharper now. Novanian vessels, adjust heading to these coordinates. Maximum speed. Acknowledge. New navigational data flowed across their screens. Without hesitation, Ilara ordered, all ships, adjust course. Follow precisely. As they changed direction, something massive shifted in space ahead of them. Where there had been empty void moments before, a massive structure shimmered into visibility as some kind of cloaking field dissolved. What is that? Breathed Sora. None of them had an answer. The structure was unlike any station they had ever seen, a sprawling array of interlocking rings and spheres that seemed to defy conventional engineering. 60 seconds to intercept by Confederation forces, Tarek reported tensely. The human voice returned, calm and precise. Novanian vessels, cut engines in 5 seconds. Prepare for tractor guidance. Do not deviate. Ilara gave the order. The ships went dark, drifting forward on momentum alone. For a terrifying moment, they were completely vulnerable. Then, a soft blue light enveloped their ships. The sensation was strange, like being caught in a gentle current, pulled inexorably forward. The Confederation fighters are within firing range, Sora reported. Ilara braced herself, but instead of the expected impact, a new voice came over their communications, the Confederation commander. Novanian refugee vessels, you are ordered to return to Confederation space immediately. You are in violation of. The message cut off abruptly as a massive burst of energy erupted from the human station, not aimed at the Novanian ships, but past them. The energy wave washed over the Confederation fighters, and their systems went dark. The vessels continued moving forward on momentum, but all weapons, engines, and communications were silent. What happened to them? Tarek asked. Unknown, Sora replied, awe in her voice. But they're completely disabled. The human voice returned. Novanian vessels, you are now under our protection. Your ships will be guided to docking ports. Prepare to be boarded for medical assistance and security protocols. As the blue light pulled them toward the massive station, Ilara finally allowed herself to breathe. They had made it. They had crossed the boundary and found not automated defenses, but living humans. Captain, Tarek said quietly, what do you think they'll do with us? Ilara watched as the enormous station grew larger in their viewports. I don't know, but they could have let us die, and they didn't. That's more mercy than we've seen in a long time. The Novanian ships glided toward the docking ports of the human station, their broken hulls cradled in blue light. Behind them, the disabled Confederation fighters drifted helplessly, unable to pursue. As the twilight ember aligned with its designated dock, Ilara stood from her command chair. Prepare the ship for boarding. Tell all passengers to remain calm. She straightened her uniform. Let's meet our saviors, or our new captors. The dock sealed around their airlock with a soft hiss. Indicator lights shifted from red to green. The humans had arrived. Judgment of the Ancients. The airlock cycled open with a soft hiss. Captain Ilara Vos stood at the head of her small delegation, herself, Tarek, and their chief medical officer, Dr. Naren. They had debated extensively about how to present themselves to the humans. Should they appear armed, ready to defend their people if necessary, or come unarmed, showing trust? In the end, they chose trust. They had nowhere else to go. The inner door slid open, revealing 3 figures. Ilara had studied the old archives during their desperate flight, but nothing had prepared her for facing actual humans. They were taller than she expected, with skin in various shades of brown and pink. Their eyes lacked the reflective quality of Novanian eyes, appearing strangely flat yet intense. The central figure stepped forward, a woman with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. She wore a simple gray uniform with no visible rank insignia. "Captain Vos?" she asked, her voice matching the one from the communications. Ilara inclined her head in the Novanian gesture of respect. "Yes. And you are?" "Commander Imani Chen, Sentinel Station Epsilon." The human surveyed them with calm, evaluating eyes. "Welcome to human space, though I suspect these aren't the circumstances you would have chosen for your visit." "No," Ilara agreed, "but we are grateful for your intervention." Commander Chen nodded once. "Your people require medical attention. Our doctors are prepared to treat your wounded, though we may need guidance on Novanian physiology." Dr. Naren stepped forward. "I will assist in any way possible." "Good," said Chen. "Now follow me. The council is waiting." As they walked through the station corridors, Ilara couldn't help but stare. The architecture was unlike anything in Confederation space, flowing lines and open spaces, with plants growing in seemingly impossible places. Light came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Most surprising was the diversity of beings they passed, not just humans, but other species Ilara had never seen before. "I thought humans had isolated themselves," Tarek said, voicing Ilara's confusion. The human walking beside them, a younger man with amber eyes, answered, "We withdrew from Confederation politics, not from the universe. Any species seeking genuine asylum has found a home here." "And what does that mean for us?" Ilara asked. Commander Chen glanced back. "That depends on your story, and on the Council's judgment." They entered a vast chamber unlike anything Ilara had imagined. The room was circular, with tiered seating surrounding the central platform. Above, instead of a ceiling, was what appeared to be open space, a perfect view of stars and nebulae that couldn't possibly be visible from their location. Seated in the tiered sections were perhaps 50 individuals, humans of different ages and appearances, alongside representatives of at least a dozen alien species. "The Human Concord Council," Commander Chen explained. "Representatives from Earth and all human colonies, along with our allied species." An elderly human man at the center tier stood. "Captain Ilara Vos of the Novanian Refugee Fleet. I am Counselor Marcus Sander. We've reviewed your ship's data and your initial communication. Now we would hear your story directly." Ilara stepped onto the central platform, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon her. She took a deep breath and began. She told them of Novania, once a peaceful member of the Galactic Confederation, known for its art, philosophy, and ecological preservation. She explained how the discovery of rare minerals beneath their sacred forests had transformed them from citizens to obstacles overnight. "When we refused to relocate, the Confederation declared us enemies of progress," Ilara said, her voice steady despite the pain. "They revoked our membership, our rights, our very personhood. What began as political pressure became systematic elimination." She described the bombings, the blockades, the manufactured plagues. Of 9 billion Novanians, fewer than 40,000 survive, all aboard our 4 remaining ships. The council listened in silence. Ilara couldn't read their expressions. Human faces were still foreign to her. But she felt no hostility, only attention. When she finished, Counselor Sander leaned forward. "And what do you seek from humanity, Captain?" "Sanctuary," Ilara replied simply. "A place where our children can grow up without fear, where our species can survive." Before the counselor could respond, a new voice broke in, harsh and grating through the station's communication system. "This is Admiral Krell of the Galactic Confederation vessel Righteous Purpose. We demand the immediate surrender of the Novanian fugitives. They are criminals under Confederation law, and harboring them constitutes an act of war." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Commander Chen stepped forward, her expression tight. "A Confederation battlecruiser just dropped out of FTL at the edge of our sensor range. They're accompanied by a full battle group." Counselor Sander nodded calmly, as if this were an expected development. "Open a channel." A massive view screen materialized in the center of the chamber, displaying the face of Admiral Krell, a Vexari, reptilian and cold-eyed. "Admiral Krell," Sander said evenly, "you have entered restricted space. The Novanian refugees are under our protection pending asylum proceedings." The Admiral's scaled face twisted in what Ilara recognized as contempt. "Humans, still interfering in matters beyond your understanding. The Confederation has grown since your withdrawal. We are not intimidated by ancient legends." "This is not intimidation, Admiral," Sander replied. "This is simply information. The refugees are under our protection. Your disabled fighters will be returned to you. Now leave." "It appears we have a decision to make," he said, "though I suspect it is already made." An older woman stood from the council tier. "The Novanian situation matches precisely the conditions under which the Concord was established. They face extinction for refusing exploitation. The vote is clear." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Ilara looked between the counselors, confusion and hope warring within her. "What does this mean?" Counselor Sander turned to her with an expression she couldn't quite interpret. "It means, Captain Vos, that humanity has judged your cause worthy. The Novanian people are granted full asylum and protection under the human Concord." Before Ilara could process this, Commander Chen spoke urgently. "Counselor, the Confederation battle group is moving into attack formation. They're charging weapons." "So be it," Sander said quietly. He turned to address the entire chamber. "Activate the Aegis Protocol. All non-essential personnel to shelter stations." The chamber erupted into coordinated activity. Ilara found herself being led aside by Commander Chen. "What's happening?" she demanded. "The Confederation is about to learn why no one violates human space," Chen replied, her expression grim. "Watch." The illusory ceiling of the chamber transformed, showing a real-time view of space around the station. The Confederation battle group, one massive battlecruiser and 6 support vessels, moved into position, weapons boards glowing with charged energy. "They're outnumbering you," Tarek observed anxiously. 7 warships against 1 station. A small smile touched Commander Chen's lips. "Are they?" The space around the Confederation ships rippled, like heat waves over desert sand. Where there had been empty void, massive vessels shimmered into existence, dozens of them, surrounding the Confederation fleet in a 3-dimensional web. "Optical cloaking," Chen explained. "The Sentinel fleet never left the boundary. We've been watching the Confederation's corruption spread for centuries, waiting for the right moment." On the view screen, Admiral Krell's face appeared again, now showing the first signs of fear. "What is this deception?" Counselor Sanders' voice was calm as he addressed the Admiral. "This is your only warning, Admiral Krell. The Novanian refugees are under our protection. Leave immediately or face consequences." The Admiral's scales flushed dark with rage. "The Confederation does not recognize human authority. Fire at will." The Confederation battlecruiser released a massive energy beam aimed directly at the station. Ilara braced herself for impact, but it never came. Instead, the beam struck an invisible barrier and split into thousands of smaller streams, dissipating harmlessly into space. Energy diffusion fields, Commander Chen commented. One of our older technologies. Counselor Sanders' voice hardened. Admiral Krell, you have fired upon a human Concord installation after explicit warning. Under the terms of the Arcturus Treaty, which your predecessors signed, this constitutes an act of war. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across the Admiral's face. The Arcturus Treaty is ancient history, a myth. No, Sander replied. It is very much in effect. And now, so are its consequences. From the human vessels, pulses of blue light, similar to what had disabled the fighters, lanced out toward the Confederation ships. As each pulse made contact, the ships went dark, weapons and engines shutting down simultaneously. Within moments, the entire Confederation battle group floated powerless. What have you done? Admiral Krell demanded, his voice now transmitted through emergency channels only. System-wide neutralization, Sander explained. Non-lethal but complete. Your ships will be towed to the boundary and left with enough emergency power to call for assistance. He leaned forward, his expression intense. And you will carry our message. The human Concord has returned to galactic affairs. The Novanian people are under our protection, as is any species facing extinction through Confederation exploitation. The boundary is now open, but on our terms. The view screen went dark. The council chamber was silent. Finally, Ilara found her voice. You didn't destroy them. You could have, but you didn't. Counselor Sander turned to her. Destruction is easy, Captain Voss. Mercy, true mercy, is harder. It requires judgment, restraint, and wisdom. These are the qualities we've spent 3 centuries cultivating. He approached her, extending his hand in what Ilara recognized as a human greeting gesture. Carefully, she placed her 4-fingered hand in his. The Novanian people are welcome among us, he said, not as subjects or dependents, but as equals. Your wisdom in preserving life, even at great cost to yourselves, is exactly what this galaxy needs more of. And the Confederation? Tarek asked. Commander Chen shook her head. This was just one battle group. The Confederation is vast. But now they know, Counselor Sander added. Humanity has judged their actions and found them wanting. The balance of power has shifted. As the council session ended, Ilara was led to a viewing platform overlooking the docking bay. Below, she could see her people, the last Novanians, being welcomed by human medical staff and representatives from other species. Children who had known only fear were being given toys and treats. The wounded were receiving treatment. What happens now? She asked Commander Chen, who stood beside her. Your people will heal, Chen replied. You'll be offered a home, either here on the station or on one of our garden worlds. Your children will grow up in peace. She pointed to the stars visible through the massive viewport. And out there, change is coming. The Confederation's unchecked exploitation will face resistance. Other species will learn they have a choice. Ilara watched as a Novanian child below laughed for what might be the first time in months. All because you showed mercy when you could have shown force. Commander Chen smiled. That's the human way, Captain. At our best anyway. Strength without compassion is just another form of weakness. Together, they watched as the disabled Confederation ships were towed toward the boundary by human vessels, not destroyed, but sent home with a message that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity had judged, and humanity had shown mercy, but they had also shown power. The legend was real, and the galaxy would never be the same again.